During World War II, countless people were killed in battle. For those who survived, their lives would be forever changed. The Second World War was arguably the bloodiest war in history. Many survivors have told their stories to the world, including one man named Walter Ehlers.
Walter Ehlers was born in Junction City, Kansas on May 7, 1921. He enlisted in the Army in October of 1940 with his brother Roland. He was deployed to North Africa as a mortarman. As a soldier, he killed many Germans and once saved his whole squad by killing German soldiers. He was later ordered to take part in the Great Crusade, which is now known as D-Day.
When Walter Ehlers was asked to storm the beaches of Normandy, he must have been hesitant, so the question he faced was if he should storm the beaches or find a way out of fighting. During the three-part plan to take back France, British and American pilots were supposed to drop bombs on the beaches to weaken the German forces on the shore. The bombings were also intended to leave craters on the beaches for soldiers to hide in. Unfortunately, the bombs were mostly dropped miles inland, which made Ehlers' job even harder. With no craters or weakened forces, the already impossible task seemed even more daunting. Not to mention, casualties were estimated at around 50%. He was ordered to lead a 12-man team to a town named Traverse that was 5 miles inland, which was a lot of responsibility. Additionally, Ehlers was only 23 years old at the time. He was still a boy with the rest of his life ahead of him. Was he really willing to risk the life he had only just begun? Apparently he was, because he decided to fight. Walter Ehlers and his squad were very brave men. Sadly, though, they were dropped in water nearly over their heads. Luckily, the team made it through the sand and up into the bluffs. They even captured a German pillbox.
During the preparations for D-Day, the Army decided to split Roland and Walter Ehlers up. Going to Normandy must have been incredibly difficult for the brothers, especially since the casualties were expected to be high. But Ehlers had to be brave and keep fighting with the possibility of never seeing his brother again. As that night came on Tuesday, Walter went to find his brother, Roland. He couldn't find his brother, but he did find Roland's platoon sergeant. When Ehlers asked about his brother, he was told only that he was missing in action. A month later, Walter was held up in a farmhouse. Suddenly, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was the company commander of his brother's company. He told Walter some unfortunate news. Roland Ehlers was killed at Omaha Beach. He was killed by a mortar that hit his landing craft. This was devastating. Roland and I were good buddies, he said. He was always kind of looking out for me. He was my hero. The conflict he faced was how to deal with losing his brother. Walter was tormented by nightmares every single night. Nightmares about my brother coming home. He'd always show up immaculately dressed, and he had that beautiful smile, and we'd talk. I'd go get something and come back, and he'd be gone. Would he end his life because of the haunting truth of his brother's death? Or would he take out anger on German soldiers? Although depressed from the passing of a loved one, Ehlers fought on. Walter was even motivated by his brother to be a better soldier. He said, "He was my hero until the day he died. He still is." His nightmares would eventually stop when he spoke at Omaha Beach about his loss.
Walter had many heroic actions during D-Day as well. When Ehlers was inland during D-Day, he and his men were surrounded by German troops many times, one of which both he and his comrade were both shot by a sniper. The conflict Ehlers would face would be either fight on or just die. He could also have used this as an opportunity to go home because of an injury, but he was courageous. After being severely wounded by this bullet, he was still able to shoot and kill the sniper and carry his comrade to safety. His courage in this situation saved the life of another American, and this was significant to me because Walter risked his own life just to save his friend. If he had just jumped behind cover and tried to help himself, his comrade probably would have been shot and killed. I'm sure the family of this soldier was very pleased with his actions. Another person who was happy with his actions was Lieutenant General John C.H. Lee, who presented the Medal of Honor to Ehlers in 1944. He was shot 3 more times after that, and he fought hard through the pain each time.
While fighting in Normandy, Ehlers was put into a lot of dangerous positions. He was the leader of a squad that had to take the lead in many attacks. This must have been difficult for Ehlers. How do you kill so many Germans? Some could have been innocent, and some could have had their whole lives ahead of them. So, should you always try to kill the other guy before he kills you? By dehumanizing yourself to make killing into a sport, you offend most of the German society. But Ehlers must not have cared, because he fought on. He single-handedly killed many Germans. He sacrificed part of his life to win the war for the United States. Walter Ehlers said, "I'm no Rambo. Because of my training, it was automatic not to run, but to attack." He was brave and made a huge impact on the outcome of the war.